Okay, so I have for my SRI all of these objects with this. So to start us off, I ripped this out of a book. Actually, it's the acknowledgments from a book that I've already read. And I chose this to be me as the reader because, you know, everyone says, like, if you do something, you gotta become that. So I feel like whenever I read anything, I become the book. You know, I feel like I'm immersed in it. So I chose a piece of paper from a book to be myself. I chose a piece of soap, like a little bar of soap, to be Will because it is white and pure and clean. And that's how I feel like Will is right now before, you know, he grows up or does anything that could tarnish that. And then I have a lighter for Buck, which is the first person that he's going to meet in the book. And I chose a lighter just because Buck ends up lighting the cigarette, and Will constantly talks about the smoke-filled elevator, and it just reminds me of a lighter. The second person that he meets is Danny, and I chose a scrunchie for Danny because a lot of people think that scrunchies are prettier versions of hair ties, so I chose the scrunchie for that. And then you guys may or may not get a kick out of this. It's okay if you don't. But I chose a movie, which is Legally Blonde. That has nothing to do with Uncle Mark, but the movie itself does. Uncle Mark wanted to be a director, so as I'm going to explain that earlier, he tries to, he works on a corner to get money to buy a camera so we can make movies. So he's a movie for my objects. And then I'm actually going to skip over Frick because for the purpose of what I'm trying to convey, I feel like Frick's presence doesn't really fit the scene super well. I'm doing the scene because I'm doing the scene all the way through down the elevator besides Frick because I feel like each person really helps Will figure out what he wants to do and makes him feel doubtful in his decision to go kill Riggs. I just felt like Frick didn't really change his mind a whole lot or change his perception on things. So I'm just gonna skip that. For Pop, I have Pop as the object. So that's pretty much it. It's just because he's called Pop, so I chose a pop bottle for that. And then for Sean, I have just a red rope. It looks kind of brown in the video, but I promise you it's red. But just because he shows up in the end with his blood-stained clothing, and this red represents that blood. So Buck makes a comment about Will's gun, and Will's kind of like, oh my gosh, does he see it in my back, in the back side of my pants? But we find out as the reader that Will's gun actually belonged, well, he got it from Sean, and then Buck was actually the one who gave it to Sean, so now Will has it. So the gun that Will has now is Buck's. So they begin talking in the elevator on the 7th floor, and Buck ends up telling Will that he doesn't believe that he has what it takes. And I think right there, that's kind of where it starts, Will's doubt. And Will kind of starts thinking, hey, maybe this isn't a good idea. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing. He doesn't even know if the thing's loaded or not, which Buck makes a comment about that. So this is where his doubt starts coming in. So the boys go down in the elevator. So they're now on this floor, and Danny ends up walking in. So I feel like this is an important scene because Will actually watched Danny die. They were childhood friends, and he had a crush on her. So during this scene, Danny asks multiple times to Will, why does he have this gun? Why does he need to use it? And then at the very end, before they start going down to the other floor, she asks, what if he misses? And I think that's the huge statement where Will is like, oh my gosh, you know, it gets him thinking, kind of like what Buck did to say, I don't think you have what it takes to go out and kill Riggs. So Danny asks, hey, what if you miss? Which is really sparking some doubt in Will's mind. So when I think Will starts having doubt with what Danny says, I feel like I'm in Will's mind as the reader, because I start thinking, oh my gosh, what's Will gonna do? And I think that Will's kind of thinking the same thing, like, what am I gonna do now? I'm gonna keep going down and see what happens. So I kind of put my mind with Will's on this one as the reader. Whoop. So next we have the whole crew meeting Uncle Mark, the movie. And this scene I feel like is important to ultimately changing Will's mind about going out and killing Riggs, because Uncle Mark plays out the scene of killing Riggs to Will like a director does. So even in the afterlife, he's still making movies. So he plays out the scene for Will, and as he's doing this, me, the reader, kind of goes into Uncle Mark's mind, because I'm seeing what he's seeing as he's playing out the movie, or the scene of Will killing Riggs. And I think that Will feels this doubt after he's hearing the whole scene being played out, because he can't finish the end of the scene by saying that he shoots Riggs. And ultimately, Uncle Mark has to say that he shoots him. So I start feeling the fear that I think Will is having. So then I kind of go to Will's mind, that he can see everyone in the elevator. So I'm feeling some doubt. I'm feeling kind of scared, you know. And, you know, Will doesn't know what happens after. He doesn't know if he can do it or not. So as they continue down the elevator all together, Will is faced with his own father, Pop. I'm sorry, he can't really fit in this this level. So I feel like this is super important for Will's decision, because this is his own father and he's finally hearing the story of what actually happened. So right now I feel like I'm with everyone kind of on the outside, just looking at what's going on. So Pop ends up telling Will that he went out and he followed the rules. He didn't die from a broken heart. He died from someone else shooting him. So Pop went out. He was trying to get revenge, following the rules. And he tells Will, by the way, as Pop is telling the story, I feel like I'm right there watching this. So I don't know if I'd necessarily say that I'm in the eyes of Pop or Will, but I feel like I'm watching the scene being played out. So again, he's telling Will that he went out, he was gonna go get revenge, but he ended up killing the wrong person. And as Will, I feel like now he's like, oh my gosh, you know, what if I kill the wrong person? What if Riggs isn't the one that killed Sean? So I feel like that's a huge one for him, especially coming from his dad. And at the end of the scene, like at the end of the before they go down more, Pop ends up putting a gun to Will's head. And right here as a reader, I still feel like I'm in Will's shoes, because I could kind of see someone putting a gun up to my head, and it scared the crap out of me. So I feel like he just really scared Will. Obviously he peed himself in the book, so he is petrified right now, and Pop did this. He's making him super scared about what's going on, which I think makes him really doubtful about his decision. Okay, so finally we have everyone headed down to the lower level, the loser level. Okay, so we have everyone here. There's Uncle Mark in the back. Put him in the blanket. Okay, So they get there, the doors open, and in walks Sean. And he greets everyone like normal, like old friends, but he doesn't speak to Will. And so Will and Sean end up embracing, and Will confesses that he's scared, he doesn't know what to do. He tells Sean that he's following the rules, he's doing what Sean had taught him, and Sean ends up crying. So Will's kind of taken aback by this. He's like, what the heck is going on? These aren't the rules that you taught me. He's breaking one of the rules. But he realized that it doesn't really matter. He still loves Sean even though he's crying. So as a reader, I feel like I'm just kind of on the outside watching it unfold. I don't feel like I'm any certain character right now. I just feel like I'm watching this from above. And so the elevator doors open at the ground floor, and they all end up getting out of the elevator. So they're walking away. And as they're walking away, I still feel like I'm in the elevator. I'm not getting out. But all of the characters do in the book. So everyone's getting out. Will is left there, and I feel like I'm right behind Will looking at everyone. And Sean turns around and he asks, "Are you coming?" So I feel like right here is the moment where Will can decide if he's going to go with them, which means killing Riggs, or he can stay clean, he can stay pure, and go back up the elevator and go back home. So I personally, you know, ending the book, you don't really know what exactly happens or what the author intended, but I feel like the elevator doors end up closing, and I feel like Will goes back up, he stays clean, he stays pure, and he ends this cycle that's going on in his community, because all of these characters shared their story, made him realize what was going on, and put that doubt in his mind, and made him really think about what was going on and what the consequences will be.